Hello, all, and welcome to our webinar today. My name is Barb, and I'm the Business Development Specialist here at the Colorado Department of Agriculture. Today, our webinar is focused on connecting resources, kitchen space for rent. Maybe your business is growing super fast and you're ready to make that next step. We've got some amazing experts on today that can talk through what they know, and maybe we can make some new connections here. We've got Hailey Edmundson, the Vice President of Sales and Retention at the Food Corridor, Becca Boone, the Nutrition Programs Consultant at the Colorado Department of Education, Justin Carter, our Farm to School Coordinator at the Colorado Department of Education, and Jorge de la Torre, the Director of Culinary Arts at the Kitchen Network. Just a couple little reminders. If we can mute our microphones while somebody is speaking, this just helps eliminate the background noise for our speakers. We welcome and encourage questions. Raise your hand or type them in the chat and we'll make sure we get them addressed. And we're going to ask for questions after each speaker and then again at the end. So believe me, we want you to interact with our speakers. And then if you come up with a question after the webinar, just send them to me and I'm more than happy to forward them on to our amazing speakers. So with that, let's get started. We're going to kick off with Hailey Edmundson. And Hailey started her work in local food in 2017 as a two-term AmeriCorps Vista member with Crossroads Community Food Network in Tacoma Park, Maryland. She there supported their farmers market and newly opened community kitchen. She earned her master's degree at Colorado State University in agricultural economics, focusing on local and regional food market channels. She's been at the Food Corridor for over 3 years, and this is a company that's supporting shared kitchen owner operations by connecting them to food businesses looking for commercial kitchen space. As the Vice President of Sales and Retention, she works with hundreds of shared kitchens across the U.S. and Canada, providing resources and tools so they can be the kitchen heroes in their local food communities. She is based in Fort Collins, Colorado. Well, Hailey, welcome and thank you so much for joining us. And I turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Barb. All right, so I'll go ahead and start sharing my slides. I'm going to go ahead and use my time to kind of just start from the building blocks and the foundations. Maybe some of you aren't super familiar with what is a shared use kitchen? Where do I find one? How do I get ready to use one? So I kind of want to just use my time to break that down so everyone's on the same page, and then some of the other panelists might be able to continue elaborating on that. So again, my name is Hailey Edmundson. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Retention with the Food Corridor, and I'm based in Fort Collins. Oops. All right, so for those of you who don't know who the Food Corridor is, I'll go ahead and give a little overview of who we are. So the Food Corridor is actually a software company. We were founded in 2015 in Fort Collins, Colorado by our CEO and founder, Ashley Colpart. She's a CSU graduate. This is down here in the lower right-hand corner, dressed up as a gnome, which is kind of our mascot at our company. And our mission ultimately is to support growth and innovation in local food systems. And we do that by supporting shared use kitchen operators and their food business members. So the folks that are providing that space and the people who are ultimately using that space to run their business. In addition to kind of the software tools that we use to support that, we're also a research partner and have done many projects with USDA and Colorado State University, and have developed a lot of free resources for the shared kitchen industry, ultimately connecting kitchens and food businesses. So a little bit about, so we're based in Colorado, but we actually work with the Kitchen Network nationally. So we have, an online network of kitchen operators that has about 2,000 members. We have a directory called the Kitchen Door that I'll mention later, because this is a great tool if you're looking for kitchen space in your area, with over 1,000 kitchens currently listed. And we have over 300 kitchens in the country using our tools to manage their day-to-day operations. So These are the ways that we are able to connect with many, many kitchens and learn what's going on in the industry, and build that network. So, all right, so we can all have some of the same language. When I say shared kitchen, what does that do mean? And I would say shared kitchen is really an umbrella term for many different models of commercial kitchen space that can be accessed without you having to own it and have it be your own dedicated commercial kitchen. So it's almost like a co-working space for kitchens. It can be, a community kitchen that's run by a nonprofit. It could be an incubator kitchen that's also providing business services. It could be a restaurant that maybe they aren't using their kitchen in the first part of the day or for some of the hours overnight. That can be a resource for someone else who's looking for access to commercial kitchen space. Ghost kitchen is probably one that you've heard. It's been floating around kind of in the news in the past few years, especially during COVID. That's another version of a shared kitchen that's a little bit more optimized for delivery. But all of these things are commercially certified kitchen space that is accessible to many different people, even though it's not their own dedicated space. So I think Barb mentioned I got my start in the kitchen space in Maryland. So these are some examples from Maryland. Maybe in the future, I'll hopefully be able to replace these with some Colorado examples. But these two examples are two shared kitchens in the Maryland, DC area. They're both, providing access to commercial kitchen space, but they're operating on totally different kind of scales and they have different missions. So on the one side, on the left, is the kitchen that I worked at. It's a small community kitchen that's actually attached to a church, and partnered with a farmer's market run by the same organization, 900 square feet, pretty small, and really having a mission of providing access to those farmers market vendors and making it a little bit more affordable with grants and things that they can do to offset the cost. On the right side is a totally different example. Union Kitchen is a really large facility. I don't even know exactly what the square footage is, but huge operation, mainly focused on packaged goods and kind of scaling people up for regional distribution. So these are two ends of kind of the extreme two ends, but both are providing that access to commercial kitchen space. So in case you're on this call because you want to be convinced, well, why should I use the shared kitchen? If I'm already kind of able to operate on a small scale, maybe under the Cottage Food Act or something like that, why do I need to use a shared kitchen? And there's a few really useful, reasons why that might be the case. First of all, you might not really be able to operate your food business legally without operating in a shared kitchen. If your products kind of fall outside the realm of cottage food, you might need to find access to that space in order to actually operate legally. It gives you increased flexibility. So, you've decided, okay, I really do need a commercial kitchen. Maybe having your own dedicated one just isn't an option. It's not flexible for you financially. It doesn't really make sense, in your budget or in your lifestyle to have your own dedicated space. This allows you to kind of dip your toes in the water and have access to the space when you need it without making that huge financial commitment. It also gives you access to storage and equipment, maybe other specialty amenities that you might not have either in your home kitchen or maybe other commercial kitchens that you could afford, don't have certain things that you need. You can take advantage of that resource sharing. It's going to be a lot more space than maybe your home kitchen. Obviously, there's access to storage and other things like that allow you to really scale up. It's going to be ready to use. It's going to be maintained. You don't have the responsibilities of ownership in terms of maintaining things and pest control and all the things that come with actually managing a shared use kitchen on your own. That's one of the benefits of using it is you get to take advantage of something that's already being taken care of. All the boxes are checked. And ultimately, I think one of the reasons that so many businesses really like and continue to use shared kitchens is that they're ultimately accessing a community of like-minded businesses who are operating maybe at a similar scale to them. And you can take advantage of that collective knowledge and community of people using that space. Um, so those are some of the reasons why you might consider producing in a shared kitchen. So let's say you're convinced, all right, how do I actually go about doing that? So there's a few things to ask yourself when you're trying to get kitchen ready. Um, there's some of the logistics of it. So, you'll obviously want to know how your business is operating. Who, what, where, why, how, some of the things that I'm talking about here. What's your product? Where are you going to be selling? Some of these things that are just going to make you feel better about, you're investing in some of this kitchen time. How are you going to kind of get that return on investment through your business strategy? So that's a big piece just to kind of set the foundation for you. And then the next piece is documentation and licensing. And obviously, this is a big piece of running a food business. Different kitchens and different states and different types of food products are going to require maybe different types of licensing. But at the very basic requirements, we see, a business license, or, you're registering your business and having a business license, having liability insurance, and having, your food safety and handling certifications as being definitely three things that all kitchens are probably going to require of you. And again, there may be additional requirements, and the kitchens themselves are probably going to know best what's required. So connecting with them and figuring out what you might need is a really good way to get to that next step. The third piece is thinking about your budget and what your usage of the kitchen will look like. Are you really planning to scale up quickly? You're just itching to go, and you have a lot of different sales channels already lined up and you just need to get the product out? Or are you trying to dip your toes in the water and just maybe do some recipe development, or experiment with some things and see if that kitchen's right for you? You want to find a kitchen who's going to be a good fit in terms of, are they going to let you have a few hours a month? Are they going to make you commit to a 6-month lease? All kitchens are a little bit different, so you're going to want to find one that fits with your goals. And the last piece is obviously finding a kitchen in your area. How do you actually go about finding one? And that's where some of our tools will come in handy for you. So, ultimately, where can you find a shared use kitchen? There's a few good strategies that we find works well. One is just maybe other producers and food makers. If you know of somebody else who's started using a shared commercial kitchen, maybe you can ask them how their experience has been. Do they recommend the one that they're using? And that's a great way to just, again, lean into your network in terms of what's worked well for other people. The health department oftentimes has, they don't necessarily recommend specific kitchens, but they might have a list of people who are approved by them to rent out their space. And then you can know that it's been approved by them, and you'll be, the health department will enjoy the fact that you reached out to them to make sure that you were, operating your business legally. Extension offices oftentimes have relationships with kitchens in the area as well, and they might have recommendations. And then there's also directories online, and you can search. People will post their availability and their pricing, and you can reach out and see if you can get a tour or see if it's a good fit. The site that we actually manage and we've curated is called the Kitchen Door. And this is something, if you want a little activity to do at the end of the webinar, is just go to thekitchendoor.com and you can search by zip code to see if there are kitchens that are listed in your area. It's not going to be every single kitchen, but we do have a pretty thorough directory. And if you know of a kitchen who's not listed on here, let them know so they can make sure that they're serving all the food businesses that are looking for space. But this will basically list kitchens that have said that they have available space. And you can reach out and say what you're looking for, maybe if you are looking for specific equipment or certain hours of the day, and see if it might be a good fit. And get to the next step with them. So this is a great place to start if you're just wanting to poke around and see what might be available in your area. So that's the overall kind of some, why you might want to use it, how to find one, some questions to ask yourself beforehand. These are some helpful links. I don't know if these slides, I can make these slides available through Barb, but these are some helpful pieces that have, where I found some of the information I shared, as well as, some of you might actually be kitchen operators, or maybe you have a kitchen and you're thinking you might want to rent it out to other people. Kind of the flip side of what I was talking about. We have a lot of resources for that as well. So our website and our resources page has a lot of great information if you're looking to get to the next step there too. So I'll stop sharing now and pass it on, but thanks for everyone's time.
Oh, excellent. Great review of what you guys do and where to find information. Does anybody have any questions for Hailey? I'm not seeing anything in the chat. I was kind of wondering a couple of things, and you had a great list of what the business owner should be kind of getting prepared for when they start looking for a commercial kitchen. But could you expand on maybe what supplies one of our members may have to? Maybe all kitchens are different, but what should they be prepared to bring with them?
Yeah, that's a good question. So typically, a lot of the kitchens we work with, they're going to be able to provide a lot of the larger equipment. So ovens, ranges, some of those larger items of equipment. And usually small wares are the types of things that you would be expected to bring in on your own. Obviously, any ingredients you need to use. So those are the types of things that you would be able to provide, but they're going to provide, the larger equipment, usually dishwashing. Sometimes there's, like for food trucks, there's maybe specific things that they have there too. But all the little small wares and things that you would need to, prepare your items would be something that you would bring yourself.
Okay,
Does that answer the question?
No, then my second part was, what types of questions should our Colorado Proud members be prepared to ask a commercial kitchen when they approach it? There might be something specific or.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, some of the big things that I would recommend asking, I would definitely ask about kind of obviously cost in terms of use. Like I said, there are some kitchens that are a little bit more friendly to short-term or seasonal or sporadic use, and some that have a little bit more of an expectation of long-term use. So you just have to decide what you're looking for and make sure that that's compatible with the kitchen. I would definitely ask about their relationship with the health department. Typically, a kitchen will, you're operating your business, so you kind of have that relationship with the health department. They're going to be inspecting your business, but you're in the kitchen, so making sure that they have a good relationship with the health department, and you can kind of take advantage of that good relationship too. And I would also ask about the culture. It's a shared space, so you want to make sure you're in a space where members get along with each other, people tend to follow the rules, and people keep the communal space clean, because that's going to make your experience more positive. And then you'll be able to take advantage more of that community aspect that I mentioned. So those are some things that come to mind. There might be some others too. Maybe I'll post them in the chat as I think of them.
Oh, that's really helpful. I appreciate that. Well, excellent. Pardon me. That was a great review again. And thanks for all those links, because I think that's going to be critical for our members. They can go kitchendoor.com. You could find find some of these commercial kitchens out there.
Absolutely.
Well, excellent. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's move over to our my colleagues over there at the Colorado Department of Education. Becca, I turn it over to you.
Sure. I'm going to share my screen, and Justin's actually going to kind of start us off. 1 second.
me do a quick intro. I apologize. Becca has been working with the school nutrition unit at the Colorado Department of Education for 5 years now. She oversees the local food program, conducts trainings, technical assistance, and monitoring for sponsors. Connecting with dedicated sponsors from across the state is what energizes her work. Before she came to the Department of Education, she began her journey into childhood nutrition at the Food Bank of the Rockies, where she was the sous chef and recruited sites for summer and after school meals. She worked the line in restaurant kitchens for years and loves to cook for family and friends. She is passionate about local food systems, agriculture, and meal quality. Originally from Dallas, Texas, she went to college in Arkansas and moved to Denver for graduate school at the Iliff School of Theology. And in her spare time, she and her husband tend to their small backyard homestead in Aurora. We're also joined by Justin, and Justin is the farm to school coordinator, and he began his journey in school nutrition in February of this year by accepting the new position of farm to school coordinator with the Department of Education. He works to build connections between districts and local Colorado farmers and ranchers and businesses. In the long term, his team will build a strategic plan for farm to schools in Colorado. Previously, he worked for the Center for Rural Affairs in Nebraska, where he assisted beginning farmers, worked on conservation programs, and led farm to school efforts. Justin has experience working in the Colorado dairy industry as well as with smallholder farms internationally. Well, thank you guys. This is great. Becca, I give it to you.
Yeah. I'm going to give it to Justin.
Well, thanks so much, Barb. Hi, everyone. As Barb said, my name is Justin Carter. I'm the farm to school coordinator for the Colorado Department of Education. And Becca and we are here today just to give you a short overview on farm to school in Colorado. We aren't quite as dug in as we'd like to be with shared kitchen spaces and some of the processing topics that we're talking about today, but those are certainly topics that really factor into farm to school, and we're really looking forward to getting more into those in the future. So today we'd just like to give you an overview of our programs and how we're assisting school districts and producers. Farm to school is quickly expanding in Colorado, and we're hoping that this presentation can give you insights into how to sell to schools and build some connections. So this first slide just gives you some information of where we're at today with farm to school. This data is from the 2019 Farm to School Census, which is sent out to school districts all over the country every 4 years directly from USDA. Some of these numbers have actually grown in Colorado since we've implemented more programs in the last few years. But as you can see, we've had more than 75 school districts participating in farm to school. This is through procurement, but it's also through educational programs like school gardens and providing nutrition education. In the 2017-18 school year, districts spent over $17 million on local food. This could have been in the form of fresh vegetables or fruits, meats, and also value-added products from Colorado Proud businesses. And this amount would be greater even today as we've implemented more programs in the last few years. And we are anxiously awaiting even better data in the next year as the next Farm to School Census is launching this October. Next slide. All right, so we have some great farm to school initiatives as well as incentive programs that have just recently been launched in Colorado. I was hired earlier this year to create a farm to school strategic plan for the state that would simplify the farm to school process and provide technical assistance to our districts as well as farmers, ranchers, and businesses. We're looking forward to having more workshops and trainings across the state in farm to school over the next year. And we're also creating many more resources for all of our stakeholders in farm to school. Our state currently has 2 programs that provide funding for districts to purchase local foods. Our priority program is the Local Food Program, which is led by Becca. The Local Food Program is a state program that came to be through the state legislature. We've piloted it for the last 3 years, and it has been a competitive grant program. So schools have applied to receive this funding. It's grown quite a bit over the last 3 years. We currently have 31 schools that will be enrolled in the coming year, and we're going to show you those districts in a second. And we are allocating a total of $500,000 for this program in this coming year. And that being said, the local food program is getting ready to expand greatly. In school year 24-25, it'll become its full program, and the state will be allocating $9 to $10 million for districts to purchase local foods. And when that happens, school districts all over the state will just have the option to enroll in the program. It will no longer be that competitive grant. And also in that funding, in addition to the 9 to 10 million, we'll have 5 million to provide technical assistance to all of the stakeholders working within Farm to School. And because this program is getting ready to expand so greatly, we are really focused on building a foundation for Farm to School in Colorado this year to prepare our districts to spend these funds. Another smaller program that we have is the Local Food for Schools Agreement. I know it's a little confusing because these programs have very similar names, but the Local Food for Schools Agreement is a one-time grant that we hold as the Department of Education to reimburse schools for products that are grown, raised, and processed within 400 miles of their school. So this funding has it's specifically for raw or minimally processed products. So it's mostly been fresh fruits and vegetables as well as raw meat. We currently have $1.5 million left in this program, and we have 43 districts currently enrolled in it. So we're really making a big push this fall to spend out these funds. We're hoping to have them all spent out by February 2024. So yeah, we're really working with these school districts to wrap this up because we're going to have the local food program growing so much. We're not going to continue the local food for schools. This is just a one-time funding pool. But yeah, I'll turn it over to Becca.
Thanks, Justin. So I think this legislative report on the local food program could be really helpful when we're talking about processing and the vendors that our districts are purchasing from. I'm going to go ahead and stick the link in the chat. So this legislative report is required by the legislature every year. We've only written one, and it's basically an overview of how the program went during its first pilot year. But it really digs into all the different producers, aggregators, manufacturers that districts were buying from during this first pilot year. So feel free to read it, check it out. I think if we're kind of trying to make these connections with, producers around the state and processors around the state, you can see that our districts do buy quite a bit of value-added product. They do have a cap on how much value-added product they can purchase, but this legislative report will detail that. So feel free to read that on your own time. In the local food program, I want to go over the allowable products. And so this is dictated by legislation. In the local food program, sponsors can purchase Colorado grown, raised, processed, minimally processed, and value-added processed products. So we've kind of gotten these categories together with the help with CDA. So the focus of this program, again, is really on Colorado grown, raised, and minimally processed products. So you can see in that first category, things like raw proteins, raw fruits and vegetables, honey, all of our wonderful products raw that are coming from the state. The next product is minimally processed products. And this is a great need for our school districts, right? So they love for those carrots to be carrot sticks or carrot medallions, or maybe a diced onion, right? That comes all ready to eat, diced for them, shredded cheese. So these are frozen or raw fabricated products that really retain their inherent character and look like the product that they started from. And this is the piece I think that we're talking about, right? Like this processing piece, because we know our districts really love those products, especially when they're doing speed scratch cooking. They don't necessarily have the time to scrub and break down or cut 50 pounds of raw carrots, but if they can get them in medallion form or carrot, like baby stick form, they love that. The last category is this value-added processed product category, which is anything that has been cooked, heated, preserved, canned. So all of our sauces, our beans, green chili, tortillas, tortilla chips, bread products, those are allowable in this program, and our districts do utilize those, but they do have a cap. And then these are the districts that are participating in the local food program for next year. It does detail the three that are highlighted in yellow actually are not participating, but they participated in the past. So you can see we really have a wide range of folks from all across our state that are participating in local food purchasing. I think when we're connecting and I'm trying to make this connection, right, once again, to processing and how producers can reach out to their school districts, you know, these folks are invested in farm to school. And so maybe it's, you know, taking this map in these districts and really reaching out to their food service director. I do want to say that in terms of rental space in kitchens, it is by district. It is district to district. So I don't really have I know there's maybe 1 or 2 districts in our state, Greeley, Evans School District, that rents out their kitchen space to a small producer. I caught it. I think they make marshmallows. But it's not really happening yet. So we would love to facilitate those conversations, but I just want to say that it's a district to district based like decision on how they rent out their kitchen, you know, who to. I will say that lots of school kitchens do not have extra fridge space. Like that's just not going to be something that's really, unless it's a really, really, really big district with maybe a distribution warehouse. You know, these small districts are already strapped for fridge space and freezer space. So just like when we're having these conversations about kitchen utilization, yeah, they usually don't use their kitchens on the weekends and even at night. So what does that look like? And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Justin to kind of conclude and wrap us up with just kind of some tips when you're working with school districts.
Thanks, Becca. Yeah, so we put together this slide of just quick tips for getting started in farm to school, and we're really hoping to have more resources specifically for farmers and ranchers coming out soon. But yeah, I mean, just right off the top, being able to get in contact with the district's nutrition services director. This is something that we can help with. If a producer or a business has a school district in mind that they'd like to work with, they are more than welcome to contact Becca and I, and we can help facilitate that conversation a little bit. But once they are in contact, being prepared to discuss some of these things like food safety procedures and logistics. At the Department of Education, we only require a simple on-the-farm food safety plan for businesses to get involved with farm to school, but the school district they set their own requirements. So they may require something like a GAP certification or further safety procedures, and it's important to get on the same page with the school around those. Big barrier that Becca just kind of talked about that we run into is logistics and processing and the form of the product that the schools are looking for. So having those conversations early to get on the same page, having conversations around delivery, storage capacity. Becca mentioned freezer and refrigeration space. We have a lot of schools that really lack those spaces, and they have worked with like meat processors, for instance, to store some of those products. So that might be something to look at in terms of shared use kitchens and things like that. Connecting with the Colorado Food Hub, we have interacted a lot with food hubs recently around Colorado. They have been great intermediaries, and they've helped us get past some of these logistical barriers. So if a producer is selling through a food hub, that can be a great resource and a way to go about farm to school. And then we we are working on building more directories of local producers and businesses around the state. So we have a CDE local producer list that is just for farm to school, and I can put that in the chat in a second. Producers just fill out a short survey to be put on that list. We also rely a lot on the Colorado Proud Farm Fresh directory, Colorado Beef Council's directory. So the more opportunities for us to have producer and business contacts available that we can pass along to schools, the better we can facilitate those relationships and get farm to school going. And then always feel free to reach out to us for more resources. We have a webpage just on sourcing local foods that includes things like these directories and some of these resources. So always feel free to reach out. And I think the next slide is our contact info.
I think the only thing I'll add around processing is that the USDA does have requirements for meat. Any meat sold in a school does have to be processed in a USDA facility. As far as value added foods as well, that company should have a food retail license of some sort. So you can't sell cottage industry foods into school retails. But I think when we're talking about processing, like if you really want a space, it might be as simple as reaching out to the child nutrition director in your county and just starting that conversation. I think as we hear about processing developing in our state, hopefully we can come out with more guidance. So I hope this wasn't too off base for this audience and that some of this conversation was helpful. So thanks, y'all.
Excellent job, Becca and Justin. Thank you. I think it's important. Yeah, you guys offer a lot of opportunities to sell into the school district. So thank you for that. And good information about, contacting the district to see if there is an opportunity. Every school has a kitchen, so maybe that's an opportunity. We did have a question. Mary Beth asked, I don't imagine cottage food businesses can become a member working with schools. And I think you addressed that, but would you like to expand on that further, Becca or Justin?
Yeah, I think that's correct. If it's just a cottage food vendor that is processing products, making a value-added product, I do think, but Becca, feel free to chime in. I do think that there would be a little more formal standards to get that product into a school. That being said, if the product is raw or unprocessed, which schools are getting products from local farmers, from local ranchers. Well, I mean, there's the USDA inspection requirement with meats, but for fresh fruits and vegetables, there really aren't too many barriers to get those into schools.
Yeah, I would agree. If you're looking to make your cottage food in a shared kitchen like a school district, that is probably possible. But that's just going to be on the school district side. You would work with them, perhaps to work out a contract. And then Hailey might have some great resources for our school districts so they can put some procedures in place for sharing their kitchen out, right? Because like most commissaries, I mean, the food safety standards at a school kitchen are high because it's an at-risk population. So they're very specific about their food safety standards. If you are a cottage industry producer, no, you cannot sell your cottage industry foods to a school. All food that is sold in a school has to have that food retail license if it's processed. I hope that, we answered that properly.
Excellent. Any other questions for either Becca or Justin? And I just wanted to reaffirm, if they wanted to reach out, they reach out to their specific district, or should they come to you first for a phone number or a website for the district if they did want to see if it was an opportunity to work with the kitchen in their district?
If they have that contact information, or if they know the food service director in that district, we would encourage them to go after that relationship. There's no requirement that they need to come to us. But if they need assistance gathering that information, we'd more than happy to help them out.
Excellent.
But it really is just as simple as Googling your district and then Googling nutrition services department,
Okay.
and hopefully that nutrition director will pop up. So most school districts will list who their nutrition services director is. If it's a really tiny district and you're like out in the middle of East Colorado, then just call the district line and say, hey, I'd love to talk to the nutrition director there if I can. I'm a producer.
Well, that's great resource. Great. Thank you. Well, thank you guys. Really appreciate your input on this. All right. Well, we'll move on to Jorge. And Jorge is the director of culinary arts for the Kitchen Network Park Hill, which is a nonprofit incubator, accelerator, commissary for minority-owned businesses and a workforce development learning center in Denver. Jorge graduated from the University of New Mexico with a bachelor's degree in business before going on to the California Culinary Academy in San Francisco. After graduation from culinary school, he worked in San Francisco and Hawaii. He then moved to Vail, Colorado, and worked for Vail Associates and was a chef and owner of a restaurant. He also worked for Whole Foods in Denver, many catering companies, and a steakhouse in New York City before finding his true culinary passion, which was to teach. In 2001, he began his career as a culinary educator and as a chef instructor for the restaurant school at Walnut Hill College in Philadelphia. He joined Johnson and Wales University in Denver in 2002 as the director of culinary operations and received his master's degree in adult education from Colorado State University. He was then promoted to the position of dean for culinary education in 2005 until the university closed in 2021. He is on the board for We Don't Waste, a nonprofit that picks up food from restaurants, stadiums, and caterers to distribute for free to those in need. Work Options that focuses on teaching professional skills to formerly incarcerated people, and he is now a council member for CHOW, which is the Culinary Hospitality Outreach and Wellness organization, which deals with mental issues in the culinary world. Jorge, it's wonderful to have you here. Thank you, and I turn it over to you.
That was my whole presentation. I have nothing else to say. I'm just kidding. I really appreciate that, and it's funny. I mean, you asked for a bio. I hadn't by no means thought you were gonna put it up, but it it really has helped me for this next venture. So, like I said, we're here at Kitchen Network, and I'm in the old kitchens of the Johnson and Wales campus in Denver, in the Park Hill region. So, Kitchen Network has two commissary kitchens, and the first one was based out of Morrison Road corridor, which is on the west side, and it was a corridor that Buku West, which is really truly our nonprofit, they wanted to help that corridor and help the people who were living there be able to survive there, thrive there, live there, start their businesses. And it happened to have a commissary that they ended up buying, and they really tried to support. So we definitely are focused on trying to help minorities go through, but we are open to anybody and everybody. Everybody needs, anybody who needs help, space, we are here for them. But we really, really are trying to help people. And the reason maybe that they hired me, or that I definitely know the reason that I was drawn to it was, you know, just like in any restaurant, restaurants have a high closing rate. It's difficult to get loans. It's difficult to muddle through the government paperwork and bureaucracy. And rarely did anything ever fail because the food was bad, or that people didn't enjoy the food. It's because they didn't understand the business. They didn't understand the financing that was going to be needed. They didn't understand how to scale, how to shop. So when I was offered this job, and I saw that, and I saw all my students that, you know, get training in how to cook, how to do proper techniques, et cetera, et cetera. And we also taught a food business management class that taught them the business of it. And that is where a lot of people struggle. And so we do have these commissary services, but I would say that is almost secondary to what we want to do, is to help, just like everybody else here, is to help you do your business, help you when you come here. Like Hailey first said, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I need my own private kitchen. Well, we try to break that down to see if that's really something true, because that can be pretty expensive. Are you willing to share? Are you willing to go off times? And we're really trying to help people find what's going to be best and sustainable for them. So, you know, I was thinking about it, and everybody's has great pieces and everybody's offering. And the ones that I can add are, you know, what questions to ask. And like it was said before, is take a look and see what is the culture inside a kitchen. Look and see if you fit in there. Look to see if everybody's kind of in a sharing happy mood, or if it's cutthroat dog eat dog. I mean, I've seen some kitchens and it's not nice, but I've seen some kitchens where it's a very happy, and you want to go there. Also take a look, you know, I think there's some people on this call that need specific. I mean, they need gluten-free, they need maybe a kosher kitchen, those are super difficult to find, because unless you go solo and private, the cross-contamination of having a shared kitchen is pretty difficult. But I can help you find like-minded people so that you can share maybe a semi-private kitchen, for lack of a better term. But we get a lot of those, and it just, you know, you see where the market is lacking or needing, and so we try to help that. We work with many people like Rocky Mountain Microfinancing Institute, EC3 out of East Colfax Collective, SEDS. We really try to help you find the financing, because that is really, and actually First Bank is a wonderful neighbor of ours, and they really help in the small financing. They look for these, they have a special office that helps for these small loans, and there might be other banks who do it, but they're the ones who come to us. And what we try to do at our kitchens here is have that ability for office space. So fortunately, since we were in an old campus, we have classroom space, we have lab space, we have kind of we work space besides the kitchens, so that people can, we do like little brown bag, for lack of a better term, brown bag lunches, so that we bring people from small business here, that we bring people from Rocky Mountain Finance here, so that they can maybe do some little talks. Because as we all know, anybody who is in the commissary or restaurant business, they don't have 5 minutes to go downtown to the offices of small business. They don't have half an hour. I mean, we need to get to them. And so we're trying to be a hub, so that when something's in the oven, there's a little downtime, we have a space for you to do your orders. We have a lab, we have a space to chat with us that can be consultants to help you with any of the licensing and stuff that you need. Again, like somebody else said with the public health, I mean, a lot of people might not think that, but they are your friends. They want to help you. They want to get you on the right track. And when you have a good relationship with them, and they know that you are in a kitchen that is responsive and clean. So those are kind of some of the questions that you want to ask. Is like, hey, what is the commissary's relationship with the public health department? And when I say the public health department, that also means which one and where are you working? I mean, just because you are in my kitchens here in Park Hill, but if you want to go prepare food here, and I'm being silly for a sake, and want to go work in Colorado Springs, that might not work. You might not have the proper licensing. You have to check, and we will help you to check. So we ask those questions. Where do you want to park your truck? Where do you want to cater? Where do you want to hold your business? And then to see if we can help you with that and make sure that you're doing all that paperwork and all that legwork for the right people with the right people. So those are questions you definitely want to ask. You know, the fact that we were a campus at one time, we had 2 dining rooms because we taught front of house dining. along with cooking. So we have the ability to have pop-ups. We have some of our private chefs who will pop up dinners to kind of see if their idea is profitable, if people have interest, if it's something that they can do. So we are willing to have those kind of kitchens with dining room spaces. We'll help you with the social media. We have it. And we just really want to try. So do a lot of, and since we were based out of the Westwood area, which was probably about 95% Hispanic, it seems that we have that large clientele, but we have everybody here in this Park Hill. I mean, we just finished a incubation cohort where we had about 12 people who want to try businesses, and we were working with EC3, which helped with not only finding the people, but bringing on translators to our classes. We did a 10-week, once a week kind of cohort of getting them how to do licensing, getting them safety and sanitation certified, how to photograph. We brought in a food photographer, how to library services on how to find websites to help, et cetera, et cetera. But we taught it in 4 languages. And so we had Burmese, we had Thai, we had Ethiopian and Spanish plus English. So it really, each class looked like a UN because everybody had earpieces in. There were like 4 interpreters throughout the room. And it was really fantastic. And they really, really were appreciative that we came to them and we met them at a place that they could understand. And it's not that it's out of the goodness of our heart that we're doing it. It's just that we see that that's what's needed to be successful so that we can be successful and so that they can be successful. There are many, many, and I'm new to this nonprofit world, but there are many people out there, many groups and foundations that are doing this. I would have never known that they could do this, but it's out there. So make sure that you are talking to us. Just, as a plug for Kitchen Network, like others, we do have 2. And when you are a member, you can work out of either kitchen. And so sometimes it helps for parties up on the east side of town, some for the west side of town. But it really, really is helpful to make sure that you are asking, that you're looking, that you're open to what we have to say. A lot of people say, no, I need this, I need that. And just know that any of these food operators, they're here. It behooves us to make you successful. So it's not like we're trying to look for the short-term gain. We'd love to have you for a long time, but also just make sure that you feel like you're being welcomed. Other places that we have here at our Kitchen Network, besides that, like I said, we have work options here. They have their training grounds plus their little, it's called the Helping Hen. And they help men and women that were incarcerated learn a skill, the cooking skill. So then they're here, they serve food, they cater. We have Dirt Coffee, which helps neurodivergent people become baristas. So we have a coffee shop here that has a cohort of these students. And we also have a Fight Therapeutics, which helps cancer patients through nutrition, and they cook food here on campus and then they send it throughout the United States. And plus we have Cholon and D-Bar, which are for-profit ongoing restaurants, but they come and take from the people that we have here. They are a great resource, kind of when we told them that they could be here, we're like, here's our restaurateurs that are successful. We hope that we can use you as a resource. And they are always more than helpful to chit chat with people who are having struggles on the business side, on ideas. We also have an apprentice program called the Rocky Mountain Chefs of Colorado. So we have about 30 students that work out of a kitchen here in a 3-year program. So we're trying to get everybody together so that the nonprofits can meet with the for-profits, that people that are just starting out can talk with people that are 4 businesses in, have been around for 20 plus years. So it's a really nice hub that we're trying to get to be, a focused one point. So anytime somebody, oh, Mary Beth is sending you CCA in 2007. Well, she is she's way younger than me. I was in 93. But yeah, it is anything cottage foods, anything that you ever want for consulting, make sure that the kitchen that you work at is able to help you along, and that it's not just a space, and that they could care or don't care if you come in or not. So that's my little piece. And yeah, we'll do the initial contact, we'll do a tour. We want to make sure that it's something for you, that's something that works. We make sure that, and we help you apply for the appropriate businesses licensing, and then we try to get you in. We're a 24/7, just like many other commissary kitchens. But like I said, we also have the spaces for you to learn and teach. And we're open to many nonprofits. We give to Metro Caring. We do Amigas de Mexico. We let them do their cooking classes, their diabetes classes here, and not only the classrooms, but in the kitchens. So if you ever, and I've had some people, I've had Kaylee come and visit. I see on the list here. And so if you ever want to come visit, if you're ever nearby, you're always welcome for a tour. We'd love to show what we have, and it's really on a beautiful campus. So I hope the best, and I hope those were some hints for what to look for when you're moving around. So thank you.
Well, thank you. That was great. What's the best way to contact you if one of our members wanted to reach out?
Sure, I will put it in the chat, and it'll be, let's see, to everyone in meeting, and Denver.com. And then I'll put my phone number.
Excellent.
So anytime you need, please let me know.
Does anybody have any questions? I think that was great. Having been lucky enough to visit your facility in Denver, I was truly impressed. Obviously, it's incredible. Kind of, what would a company need to bring with them if they did rent one of your kitchen spaces or wanted to start cooking in one of your kitchen spaces?
Sure. I mean, like most commissary kitchens, I mean, you need to bring, we have the big equipment. We have the stoves, the ovens, the coolers, the freezers, some of the bigger mixers, the 20-quart mixers. We even have some 5-quart mixers. The small wares is what you need to bring. And we have enough cages that if it's like, I don't want to lug my sheet pans, I don't want to lug everything every time, we can rent you some space so you can always have it. Many people who come quite consistently just want to leave it there. But otherwise, we try to be as basic with the equipment, with the warewashing, we have for you, but you have to bring everything else. And we can help you, find it. We can help you consult what you might need, the amounts, so that you're not, the stuff that kills me is when I see the commissary with bags from retail, like King Soopers is fine, but it just bums me out because I know that, the margins are so thin that I would love to be able to help you think it out a little better.
Well, that's great advice. Do you have limits on the types of ingredients a person can bring into one of your kitchens?
No, it's only limited by what, you can bring in anything you want and you can store anything. We rent out space, so you're only limited by how much you want to rent out, what piece of 3x3 storage locker you want. And so it's really limited by you. But again, we're going to try to help you to downsize, minimize, make sure that you keep a inventory that is as tight as possible. And not only for so many reasons, like if you don't need to be paying rent for something that you only use X amount of times, then we're gonna let you know. we're also in, and I only say what I know about mine, but what I thought was always special about Kitchen Network, or that I thought found interesting, was we also charge in 15-minute increments, because we want you to get in, get out. We don't want you to say because you went over the hour, like by 5 minutes, that you're getting charged an extra hour. Know that you have, in about every 15 minutes, the charge happens, and we're pretty flexible. Again, we want you to succeed. It helps us.
Well, that's great. I mean, the business development and business support aspect is fantastic. Hailey, you had a question?
Yeah, I did. Jorge, from all of the businesses that you've worked with who are kind of in the early stages and reaching out and wanting to use the space, I'm curious, what's the biggest thing that gets them from being interested to using the kitchen? Is it getting the licenses? Is it the money? Is it the business plan? Like, what's the stickiest part for people?
Right. For us, we find that it's the business plan. And again, like I said, it's rarely the food, or, they come and they're so proud of the food that they show us and have us taste. There's no doubt I'm a chef. They don't need me, right? I mean, for that. But it is the process of getting ready through the licensing, the sanitation, all the stuff that is necessary for public safety and public health, to get them ready to understand, and getting customers that are based out. I mean, a lot of them did start as cottage. Maybe they're cooking for birthday parties or receptions out of their kitchen, but taking that next step to getting, and to be able to size. That's another piece that I find difficult, that they find difficult, is, okay, I can do one party, but what happens when I get 3 parties? And how do I do that? And how do I manage? And how am I going to do it out of a kitchen? So planning that is, as you probably know, is the most difficult. It's rarely, like I said, it's rarely about recipe development, but sometimes it is in the big scaling process of going from a little to a lot. It's not necessarily just multiplied by that amount either. So we try to help them see and how to plan. A lot of them don't charge enough, I find, because they want to appease a crowd, not thinking that people will pay more for what their product is. And then when you show them that they're running at a loss, I just try to tell them it doesn't matter how much you sell. If you're losing it every time, I call it the $2 lobster roll. Doesn't matter if it's delicious, you're going to go out of business. Even if you sell 1 million, you're not making money. So.
Yeah, that's good advice also. Make sure your pricing is correct. Excellent. Well, I want to thank you guys. I think this was fantastic. Excellent resources out there for our Colorado Proud members. And certainly if questions come up from anybody that maybe you didn't write down an email address or a listing, let me know, and be more than happy to connect you with these experts. Our next webinar will be on August 14th. And on that day, we're going to be looking at the Colorado Agricultural Perception Survey that was done, and how our Colorado Proud members can use these types of market data to market their products. We know that people like Colorado and Colorado products. So that's our next one. Look for the registration link. And if we don't have any more questions, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I know your schedules are tight, and this was fantastic. So thank you for that. And I hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you so much.